Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we now know the name of the woman found dead in the back of a car on I-75 earlier this week. Plus, the U.S. Secretary of Education makes a stop here in eastern Kentucky.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you on this Friday morning. We finally made it to Friday. I'm Dakota Makris, and it's almost 5 o'clock. Let's head over to Brandon for a look at our forecast this morning. And Brandon, my knowledge on the weather this morning is not great because I got in at 11:30 last night to produce the morning newscast.
It didn't change much overnight. Yeah, it's still cloudy out there. Temperatures are still dropping. The cold front's almost through eastern Kentucky, so it's a little bit more cold out there than it probably was when you come in this morning, or overnight. But overall, not terrible this morning. Most locations still in the 40s. A few clouds still out there. They'll stick around for a little while today, and maybe just a little bit of moisture in our northern counties, but I think it's on the way out as well. We're seeing those temperatures, as we mentioned there, in the 40s this morning. A couple 30s out there. 36 in Wise, 39 in Clintwood, 37 in Moorhead, 38 to Ashland, 39 Logan, 39 also Williamsburg. Everybody else in the 40s this morning, but I think they'll drop a little bit more. But the difference from yesterday and today, staggering. 23 degrees colder this morning. Remember yesterday, I think it was 25 degrees warmer. So again, we've went a big swing the last couple of days there. And everybody except for Jonesville, double digits colder this morning than they were 24 hours ago. The wind's still cranking coming out of the west right now as that front continues to push through. Those are current wind speeds, which is 10 to about 15 miles per hour. And then you factor in some of those gusts, and we're still seeing 20, 25 mile an hour gusts, even 26 at the London Corbin Airport. So continue to be aware of that this morning. Out the door forecast will feature again dreary conditions, but temperatures that will not stay too warm today will drop to right around 40 and stabilize there this afternoon. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, new information came out yesterday about a bizarre incident on Interstate 75 Wednesday. We now know the name of the man reportedly driving the car, as well as the woman who was found dead in the back seat. Police say 54-year-old David Reed of St. Petersburg, Florida was the driver. When the chase ended in Laurel County, police discovered a woman's body in the back seat. Well, that woman was identified as 53-year-old Rachel Louise Carter of Huntington, West Virginia. Police say her body was found in a plastic tote, and there appeared to be injuries to her face and body. Officers said Reed had red stains on him, which they believed to be blood.
We have to work the crash up like it's a crime scene. It's like a fatal, and a fatal did not happen, but we still have to work it like that. You know, we'll have our tools that we use to figure stuff out.
Now, Reed is facing numerous charges, including murder and abuse of a corpse. The police citation lists Reed's relationship with Carter as simply a stranger. We hear how Carter's friends are remembering her coming up at 6 a.m. The U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, visited schools in Perry County yesterday after announcing that Partners for Rural Impact would be one of the recipients of part of the $27 million grant for the Promise Neighborhoods project. Our Olivia Calfee spent the day with him and has more on his hopes for our region.
The U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, hit the ground running Thursday, visiting schools and meeting with people in the community.
Coming here to see how they're using Promise Neighborhood grants here to give students opportunities, 3-year-olds to go to school earlier, high school students to think about career pathways that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
He spent time in classrooms at Roy G. Eversole Elementary and Perry County Central High School, also asking parents what they want him to take back with him to D.C.
First of all, what I'm going to take back is that Hazard is a community where you can learn from across the country. What I saw here today is an example that I want to spread across the country. How to use resources, how to come together.
Crediting Hazard and Perry County school systems along with community leaders for their ability to use supports like Promise Neighborhood grants through Partners for Rural Impact to overcome the challenges of rural America.
Every parent wants the best for their child. And when a community comes together like they have here in Hazard, that's possible.
Jeffrey Canada, the president of Harlem Children's Zone, was also in town, saying he hopes their visit reminds Eastern Kentucky that we will not be forgotten.
I think one of the critical things is that communities often feel forgotten. They feel like nobody cares, no one's there. The only time they show up is when there's a flood or a tornado. I think this is the federal government saying, We hear you, we see you, we want to be your partners here in your efforts to support your children and your family.
Millions of dollars making a difference in the lives of children in eastern Kentucky. In Perry County, Olivia Calfee, WYMT Mountain News.
Cardona's final stop was at Hazard Community and Technical College, where he talked with community leaders about changes they would like to see and things they are specifically proud of. One candidate entered the race for Kentucky's top election official at the last moment. Stephen Nipper, a former candidate for Secretary of State and Chief of Staff for former Kentucky Lieutenant Governor Janine Hampton, filed to run for office again. Well, he is the third Republican to announce his candidacy. He will face incumbent Michael Adams and Alan Merkel in the May primary. On the Democratic side, Charles Buddy Wheatley will also be on the ballot. Inflation has caused grocery bills for many Americans to increase. At the top of the list, eggs. And some people are now taking new steps to save some money. But as Jason Lindsay explains, if expensive eggs have you dreaming of a chicken coop, there are some things you need to know.
Travis Robinson is feeding his backyard chickens in Lexington, Kentucky.
I've raised chickens for about 15 years now.
But before you build your backyard coop, due to sticker shock at the grocery store, you might want to consider 3 things.
The first thing to know is whether or not you're allowed to. City ordinances can prohibit chickens inside the city boundaries.
Think about the amount of time it takes to care for those birds.
Whether or not you can handle taking care of birds daily. They have to be cared for 365 days a year.
Also, consider the cost of raising chickens in your backyard. Everything from building a chicken coop to keeping the chickens healthy to feeding the chickens. It costs a lot more than you may think.
If you had just 2 or 3 chickens, it's easier than having dogs, harder than having cats, I would say.
But at the end of the day, it's still cheaper to buy those eggs at the store.
If you are buying chickens for your backyard because you think that you can produce eggs cheaper than you can buy them in the store, you're wrong. It'll always be cheaper to buy eggs from the grocery store.
So, for now, we're stuck with overpriced eggs. In Lexington, I'm Jason Lindsay.
While some cities may allow chickens, your homeowners association may not. Make sure you check all ordinances before you build that chicken coop. Well, thank you so much for getting your Friday morning started with the Sierra Mountain News this morning. When we come back, a former president is facing more legal problems. We'll tell you what it is.
Continue to track your forecast as the cold front goes on by our region and temperatures drop. We do have some nice days ahead, though, to start the weekend. I'll have more on that in about 3 minutes.